Request is, if you are not very important person and 10 Downing Street is not waiting for your call and you are not waiting for their call, can you close your telephone? Because it does this. And I have done it. So thank you very much. My Lord, ministers from Pakistan, Senator Raza Rabbani Sahab and Senator Afras Bhatt Sahab, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Welcome to House of Parliament. All party parliament on third word solidarity. First apology from David. Got heat stroke last week at the temperature of 33 degrees. So I think I'm taking him Pakistan next year in August, that he can see there are people who are living in much higher degrees. But the second reason why he's not here is tomorrow evening is 137 miners gala day, which he has been miner himself, vice president of NUM, and he attends it. So he has gone back to organize it. I am also traveling tomorrow morning for it, because I have started attending it for past 5 years, and I have really enjoyed it, because it is a biggest gathering in whole Europe of left or progressive politics in 21st century. Almost 500,000 people gather there from UK. And it is done by miners, so I'm thankful to Dave Anderson, who is hosting this event, but I'm more thankful to Lord Ahmed, who is our vice chairman after Solidarity APPG, and he is very busy today. He had a very busy schedule, but last moment he said, Mushtaq, I will come for a little while and I will start the meeting, and then you carry on and I will do my other bits. I'm very pleased today because there are many reasons. First reason is, I think we must recognize and we must remember the 7/7, which happened 8 years ago. And can I request everybody to stand up for the people who were killed and injured on today. Thank you very much. Second reason is, this is month of July. And initially we were thinking of holding this meeting on 5th of July, but because Mia Raza Rabbani Sahab and his delegation was in Edinburgh on that day, and the next day they were in Cardiff, and today they are coming from Belfast, and they are looking around how the devolution is working here, to take the experience of United Kingdom back to Pakistan and see how they can devolve the power from central government to provincial governments and even on the local levels. I think 5th of July is also to be remembered, because thousands of people were killed during that era, and I think in the history of Pakistan that day will also be remembered as a black day. Because that was the day when a democratic government was overthrown, the most populist government of Pakistan, thrown by a military dictator. And it is good to gather today, because in Pakistan history there are many turning points. But one of the most important turning point came on 14th of August 1973, when we got first unanimous constitution passed by National Assembly. Although following that, many amendments from 1 to 17, there were many which were to grab power more for the center, or president or prime minister, or through blackmailing get the resolution or amendment passed to legalize the illegal takeover by some dictator. But this is the first amendment which was required, which was needed, it was desired, and it was also part of 73 Constitution. Because Congress list was a part of 1973 Constitution. It was in the Constitution that in 10 years' time, in 1983, all these powers will go to provincial. Now, after possibly 25 years, we have done a step forward, but that step forward was very difficult one, because I think in the history, no person or no human being want to give their power to others. And this is the first time that a president of Pakistan has given his power to the parliament and to provinces. But the most important thing was to get it through by consensus from all opposition parties, all other groups who were opposed to it, who were trying to get more say in it. But I think Mia Raza Rabbani, who was the chairman of it, did very well and got it through. And on 30th of June, I think it is now legal. It is now been implemented. That. I also want to say that Mia Raza Rabbani, when I introduce him, I will speak about him. I met him when he was young, as many young people sitting here who are in early 20s, and I was also a young man. And I think after, I wouldn't say that you are getting old. He was more young than he is today, and it is a long time ago. I think I wouldn't give you the history, but he started his practice in a barrister's chamber who was fighting Zulfikar Ali Bhutto's case to save him. And he had another colleague, Ikram Rana, and I was at that time a trade unionist in PIA, and I was a regular visitor to that office to give them support. And I think he has done marvelous. He has been senator twice, he's been many times minister, and he is most committed, most principled politician. And I thought that he will get the chairmanship of Senate, but he didn't, which was, I think, sometimes compromises and other difficulties of the political parties. I disagree with them, but I think that happened and he has accepted it, or he has moved on from that. So with those introductory remarks, I would ask Vice Chairman of All Party Parliamentary Group of Third World Solidarity, your, my, and People's Lord Ahmed, to introduce us. Thank you very much.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Honorable Mia Raza Rabbani Saab, Senator Khattak Saab, Hassan Bukhari Saab, Lashari Saab, very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I am honored and delighted to have this opportunity of welcoming our guests to the Palace of Westminster. I have to apologize that I will have to leave because I'm driving to Rotherham, but I really wanted to be here today to welcome Mia Raza Rabbani Saab, not only because of the wonderful things that Mushtaq Lashari has said about him, but I honestly feel that he's one of the most respected parliamentarians in Pakistan today. And that's from across all the political spectrum. He is able, he's competent. I have to say I'm impressed with his English accent. He's very posh. When he, I was at the I was at the CPA lunch the other day when he spoke because I wanted him to talk about the 18th Amendment. I honestly disagree with a little bit with Councillor Lashari. Although I love in debates, I think that whilst being chairman of Senate is a glorifying position, but I think one of the most important positions you can have in Pakistan today is this Interprovincial Coordination Commission's chairman. The job that he does, the chairman of Senate cannot do. And I say that because for the Federation of Pakistan, the most important thing is for all provinces to have confidence in the center, to have confidence in the government, in institutions, and also have respect for the rules and regulations. And that's why nobody in Pakistan better than Mia Raza Rabbani could have been chosen to chair the committee that actually gave the recommendation on 18th Amendment in 1973 Constitution. Why it is important? Devolution for us, we've seen it in Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland, how it works, and I'm delighted that he's just come all the way straight from the airport from Northern Ireland. So a round of applause for and also Senator Khattak Saab and their delegation, because they're actually looking at how devolution works in the United Kingdom and perhaps everywhere else. It's important because devolution empowers people. It gives them the feel that they run their own affairs. But more importantly is that the kind of, well, in a way, it's that feeling that why should Islamabad be running affairs in Balochistan or in Sindh or Pakhtunkhwa or somewhere else. And so they run their own affairs. I also think that it's important that when you have resources, you have natural resources, you have financial resources and other powers that are given by the federation that need to be resolved amicably. There has to be a system where everyone can feel that they are stakeholders, but they're also getting something out of it. And it's very important. I did actually ask this question the other day when the whole delegation was there, and I will leave it on this. That for me, the test of this devolution and also the inter-provincial coordination would work on the day when we can talk about national issues. Because I know many of the scientists that were talking about floods last year and floods, possible floods this year or next year. They are because we don't have dams. Pakistan's water resource management is very, very poor. And because when you have these dams, not only that you will produce electricity, not only that you can fairly distribute water through the canal systems, but also you will stop floods from occurring. And because there is, whether it is Kalabagh Dam or whether it is other dams, there's always dispute over this. Then of course you have gas, oil, you have the coal, you have gold and copper and all sorts of natural resources. Allah's given everything to Pakistan. And Allah's given great people in Pakistan. We only need to sit down and resolve them. And we need lots and lots of Mia Raza Rabbanis who can resolve these issues amicably. So, sir, it's an honor. It's always an honor for me to see you here and to welcome you in the Palace of Westminster. I'm particularly delighted because you are actually addressing all my friends and colleagues here, and you are, because through the newspapers, the rest of the people will know what 18th Amendment is. I have heard you a little bit and I've read you quite a lot. And I saw you the day when the amendment was signed and the president was there, the prime minister and all the leaders of the political parties. And I watched you live and I followed it as well. So it's a great pleasure to have a man of this caliber here amongst us. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Lal Saab. It is a pleasure to work with you, and I know you and I differ on what level of Mia Saab will work, but I think he is one of those leaders, and we have many in the world who deserve to be president and prime minister, but they never have been because the system doesn't allow them. I work with many of them. Can I, Malak Sahab, ki gal hai? Tusi has rahe ho meri guftgu hai ya koi aur?
Let us settle it later on.
Huh?
Settle it later on. You have love affair with each other.
Can I invite my friend and very old comrade? I have not met Akhas Sahab, Khattak Sahab, Senator Sahab previously, but I know him because of my work in England, before that in Karachi. I have been part of that struggle against Ziaul, against atrocities, against feudalism, against other Jagirdarana Nizam in Pakistan. So can I invite our guest from Pakistan, Senator Akhas Sahab, Khattak Sahab, who is president of ALP Ulfa, for it.
अजीज दोस्तों साथियों, सबसे पहले मुझे बड़ी खुशी है कि आपसे मुलाकात हुई है। बहुत सारे प्रोसेस हैं जिनके बारे में मैं पहले से कुछ पहचान थी। मैं ज़्यादा अपनी मैं भी चाहूँगा कि मियाँ साहब मैं एक दो बातें कहना चाहता हूँ। एक तो माशाअल्लाह का जिक्र किया इन्होंने, ये बहुत अहम बात है कि हम भूले नहीं, अगर हम भूल गए तो तारीख हमें भूल जाएगी। इसलिए इसको याद रखना कि 5 जुलाई को जो हमारी तारीख से याद दिन है उसका जिक्र जरूर होना चाहिए। मैं उस पर तफसील से बातें करूँ, मैं एक बात अर्ज करना चाहूँगा कि ये जो इंप्रेशन दिया जाता है कि रिलेक्टेड टू बैकर्स, वो या वो नहीं चाहते कि टू करें लेकिन मजबूर हो जाते। आई डोंट बाय दैट थिंग। आई थिंक दैट दे आर वेटिंग द विंग। आई थिंक दे वेटिंग द विंग इंस्पायर। ज़ियाउल्लाह के बारे में आपको बताना चाहता हूँ, थोड़ा सा मैं उसका गवाह हूँ कि कैसे हम लोग हैदराबाद जेल में थे, पर पाबंदी लग गई थी, हम लोग हैदराबाद जेल में थे जब ये इलेक्शन होने थे 70 के मार्च में। तो ये जो अपोजिशन लीडर थी हमारे पास जेल में आते थे लोग, नवाबजाद नसरुल्लाह, प्रोफेसर गफूर अहमद, ये थी उसके अपोजिशन। तो दे हैड अ मीटिंग विद भुट्टो साहब इन जनवरी 1977 और इन्होंने कहा भुट्टो साहब से कि आप ये हैदराबाद ट्रिब्यूनल को तोड़ दें और ये जो कैदी को छोड़ दें ताकि उसकी फिजा अच्छी हो जाए इलेक्शन के लिए, ज़्यादा पॉलिटिकल फिजा में नॉर्मलाइजेशन आ जाएगी। भुट्टो साहब ने कहा कि मैं इसलिए तैयार हूँ लेकिन फौज इसकी इजाज़त नहीं दे। और दूसरे ने कहा अच्छा अब खुद नहीं करना चाहते और फौज को दोष देना चाहते हैं। भुट्टो साहब ने कहा अच्छा ये क्या है। उन्होंने ज़ियाउल्लाह को बुलाया और जनरल गुलाम गिलानी ऐसा है उनको बुलाया मीटिंग। वो आए और ज़ियाउल्लाह ने ऐसी एक्टिंग की, उसने कहा अच्छा अब ऐसे वतन लीडर जो है वो गद्दारों की रिहाई का मतलब ये कैसे हो सकता है। और 68 में आप लोगों ने मुजीबुर रहमान को छुड़वाया, अगरतला साजिश ट्राइब्यूनल को तोड़ा और आपने देखा पाकिस्तान को रिलीज है। और ऐसे करके उसने एक तकरीर दी हमारे, फिर उसने जनरल गुलाम गिलानी से कहा, जनरल गिलानी जैसे होता है काकेट स्टोरीज, उसने वो प्रोजेक्टर भी लाया था और ये किए ऐसे ट्रेनिंग कैंप है बलूचिस्तान में फला है फला, ये तमाशे करके वो चले गए। ये जनवरी 77 5 जुलाई को ज़ियाउल्लाह ने हुकूम किया। जुलाई, अगस्त, सितंबर में जनरल जाज़ेब अरबाब जो कराची के कोर कमांडर थे, ही विजिटर्स हैदराबाद से आए। क्या ठीक है कह रहे कोई तकलीफ कोई परेशानी नहीं करनी, खुदा का ठीक। वो चला गया। अक्टूबर में खुद ज़ियाउल्लाह जेल आया। पहले तो उसने कहा कि जेल के अंदर आकर वो हमसे बात करेंगे, हॉल में हम जमा होते थे वकीलों के साथ मशवरा करने के लिए। उस हॉल में कहा कि वो आकर बात करेगा, लेकिन हमारे साथ बड़े दाएं हाथ पॉलिटिकल वर्कर्स जिनके मार्शल्लाह के बारे में राय उनकी बड़ी खराब थी, बावजूद से कि हम भुट्टो साहब के साथ अपोजिशन में थे, लेकिन मार्शल्लाह के सब किसी ने कहा कि वो आ जाएगा तो हम उसे कहेंगे कि हमारे साथ जनरल शेर बनी भी था बलूचिस्तान के जनरल शेरोफ, तो किसी ने कहा कि हमको आएगा तो उसने कि हवलदार वाला जरा एक सलूट तो मारो जनरल शेरोफ के आगे, तो वो अंदर नहीं आया। फिर बाहर बैठा, उसने वली खान साहब को बुलाया, संजू साहब को एक करके, अतौला मैंगल और खैबर 4 आदमी से मुलाकात की और सबसे उसने ये कहा कि मेरे दिल में आपके लिए बहुत एहतराम है, मुझे यकीन है कि आप इस्लामी और जमहूरी पाकिस्तान में बहुत अहम किरदार अदा करेंगे। और 1 महीने के बाद मीडिया ऐसा था कि वो जब जनवरी 77 में इनकी रिहाई के मुखालिफ था कि कुछ डिफ्यूजन हो जाती, मार्शल लॉ लगने में रुकावट पैदा होती, इसलिए उन्होंने कहा नहीं ये बता। और जब खुद उसकी बारी आई तो उन्हीं लोगों को छोड़ा। मैं ये कहना चाहता हूँ कि ये हिस्ट्री रिपीट करती रही, हमेशा से होता है। अब मैं समझता हूँ प्रोफेसर कानूनी के मसले पर ये बड़ा पेरेनियल इशू है साउथ एशिया में। आप अगर अंदाजा लगाएं 1946 में जब कैबिनेट कमेटी के लोग आए बरतानिया से हिंदुस्तान, तो उस वक्त मुस्तफीद ने कायद-ए-आज़म की रहनुमाई में उन्होंने उस प्लान को कबूल किया, लेकिन कांग्रेस से कबूल क्योंकि उसमें ज़्यादा मुख्तारी सुकून मिलती, बहुत वसी पैमाने से रूस फेडरेशन या कन्फेडरेशन नुमा चीज़ बन जाती। कांग्रेस से उसको कबूल नहीं की, जिसकी वजह से बड़े सदे की तकसीम हुई। उसके बाद फिर हमने अपने मसाइल ठीक तरह से नहीं निभाए, बंगाल को हमने वो राइट से दिए, 71 में दोबारा पाकिस्तान को एक सानवे का शिकार हुआ। मैं समझता हूँ कि अब ये बाकी पाकिस्तान जो इसके लिए बड़ी इंपॉर्टेंट बात है, ये जो डेवलपमेंट हुई है, मैं समझता हूँ ये ऐसी अहम डेवलपमेंट जैसे 73 के कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन को बना, एज इम्पोर्टेंट एज दी फ्रेमिंग ऑफ द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन 1973। क्योंकि ये जैसे उन्होंने कहा आइन में तो नहीं लिखा था, लेकिन जो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन बनाने वाली पार्टियाँ थी, तो उसमें 3 बड़ी पार्टियाँ थी। उसमें पीपल्स पार्टी थी, पीपल्स पार्टी, नेशनल पार्टी और जमीयत उलमा इस्लाम जो रूलिंग पार्टी थी, तीनों इनके दरमियान एक अंडरस्टैंडिंग थी कि 10 साल में ये कंकरेंट लिस्ट खत्म हो जाए। कंकरेंट लिस्ट एक तरह से 1 यूनिट की यादगार थी। ایک طرح سے آئینی 1 یونٹ تھا. 1 یونٹ ٹوٹ گیا تھا انتظامی طور پہ لیکن آئینی طور پہ موجود تھا. تو یہ کمٹمنٹ تھی اور اس پر محترمہ بینظیر بھٹو صاحبہ نے اور نواز شریف صاحب نے دستخط کیے جب یہاں انہوں نے چارٹر آف ڈیموکریسی پہ دستخط کی. تو اس کا ایک سیکشن یہ بھی تھا کہ جب ان کی پارٹی اقتدار میں آئے گی تو وہ اس کنکرنٹ لسٹ کو ایبالش کریں گے. مجھے یاد ہے کہ میری آخری ملاقات محترمہ بینظیر بھٹو صاحب سے ہوئی ان کی شہادت سے پہلے لطیف کوثر صاحب کے گھر میں لاہور میں. مجھے اپنی پارٹی نے بھیجا تھا کہ میں ان سے تفصیلی بات کروں کہ کیا پروگرام ہے, کیا وہ کرنا چاہتی ہیں. تو ان کی مائنڈ میں پروونشل اٹانومی کا ایشو بہت بڑا ہوا تھا. انہوں نے بار بار کہا کہ اس ایشو کو ہم نے حل کرنا ہے اور آپ لوگ تعاون کر کے آپ ہمارے ساتھ تعاون کریں تاکہ رضاؤ. اب یہ خدا کو منظور نہیں تھا کہ ان کی زندگی میں نہیں ہوا, لیکن ان کی شہادت کے بعد میں سمجھتا ہوں کہ یہ پاکستانی جمہوریت کا بہت بڑا قدر ہے. میں سمجھتا ہوں کہ پاکستانی جمہوریت مستحکم ہوئی اور میں کہتا ہوں کہ اٹ واز ٹو گڈ ٹو بلیو کہ ایسے ہو جائے, کیونکہ جو اسٹیٹس کو کی فورسز ہیں وہ آخری وقت تک سازشیں کرتے ہیں. یہ بن رہا تھا یعنی جو ہماری کنسٹیٹیوشن کمیٹی تھی, آپ کو یاد ہوگا, میں تفصیل نہیں جانتا لیکن ایسے واقعات ہوئے کہ بعض لوگوں نے کہا کہ جیسے آئینی کمیٹی پر یا کنسٹیٹیوشن کمیٹی پر ڈرون حملہ ہوا ہے ایسے بھی بیچ میں مرحلے آئے. لیکن اس سے اس کے بعد پھر امپلیمنٹیشن اس کا تو بہت بڑا کام تھا. فریمنگ سے بھی بڑا کام تھا, آئینی ترمیم ڈرافٹنگ سے بھی بڑا کام, کیونکہ جو اسٹیٹس کو کی فورسز ہیں وہ کہاں یہ قبول کہ صوبوں کو اختصار اختیارات دی. بہت سارے لوگ ہم نے ان سے کہا کہ دیکھیں یہ صوبے پاکستان ہے, دراصل پڑوسی ملکوں کو تو اختیارات ہی دے رہے. پاکستان کو پاکستان پنجاب ہے, سندھ ہے, بلوچستان ہے اور خیبر پختونخوا یا فاٹا ہے. تو یہ میں سمجھتا ہوں کہ میرا رضوانی صاحب کو داد دینا چاہتا ہوں کہ ان کی سربراہی میں یہ کنسنسس بلڈنگ جو تھا وہ ممکن ہوا. اور 14 سیاسی پارٹیاں تھیں اس کے میں, 14 کی 14 نے, اور فاٹا کا ایک گروپ تھا. ان سب نے مل کر یہ قرارداد جو ہے ڈرافٹ کی اور نیگوشیٹ کیا 9-10 مئی تک, اور بڑی نیگوشیشن کے بعد یہ ایک طرح سے کہ ہم اس منظر تک پہنچے. اور اس کے بعد برٹش کا بڑا آپ نے دیکھا کہ باہر پارٹیوں میں لڑائی تھی, لیکن 18ویں ترمیم بھی اتفاق رائے سے, 19ویں ترمیم بھی اتفاق رائے سے, دونوں کنسنسس کے ساتھ. بہت سے لوگ یہ کیسے ممکن ہے, بعض پارٹیاں لڑ رہی ہیں پارلیمنٹ میں, لیکن اندر آپ نے دیکھا کہ ان مسائل کے قومی مسائل پہ اتفاق ہو. تھوڑا سا لال صاحب چلے گئے, میں تھوڑا سا ذکر کرنا چاہتا ہوں. نے کہا کہ نیشنل ایشوز پر بات کرنی چاہیے. انہوں نے کہا کہ کالاباغ ڈیم کا ذکر کیا. گزارش یہ ہے کہ پاکستان کو کالاباغ ڈیم کو سے یہ نقصان دینا پڑا کہ انہوں نے کہا یا کالاباغ ڈیم بنے گا یا کچھ نہیں بنے گا. نتیجے ہوا کہ 11-12 سال تک ہم کوئی ڈیم نہیں شروع کر سکتے. آج آپ نے دیکھا کہ بادشاہ ڈیم شروع ہو گیا. اس سال خیبر پختونخوا میں 3 نئے ڈیم پر کام شروع ہو جائے گا. چھوٹے ڈیم ہیں, بڑے ڈیم. بادشاہ کے بعد کٹزارا, کالاباغ تب بنتا جب اس کا الٹرنیٹیو نہ ہو. یہ غلط بات ہے کہ ڈیموں پر اتفاق رائے ہیں. اتفاق رائے ہے, سب کہتے ہیں ڈیم بناؤ, سب کہتے ہیں پانی کی ریزروائر بناؤ, سب کہتے ہیں بجلی بناؤ پاکستان میں. اس پر کوئی اختلاف رائے نہیں. اختلاف اس پہ کہ آپ ایک ڈیم پر آپ کی سوئی کیوں اٹکی, اس کے الٹرنیٹیو اگر نہ ہوتے تو بے شک آپ کہہ سکتے ہیں, لیکن الٹرنیٹیو ہیں اس کے. کٹزارا ڈیم نارتھ میں پھر ایک اور ڈیم بن سکتا ہے, بادشاہ سے بھی بڑا ڈیم, جس کی زندگی 100 سال ہوگی اور جو پاکستان کی بجلی کی ساری ضرورتیں پوری کرے. اور خدا کے فضل سے ہمارے ملک میں تیل اور گیس کے بڑے ذخائر دریافت ہیں. ابھی پنجاب میں بھی ہیں, سندھ میں بھی ہے, بلوچستان میں بھی ہیں, خیبر پختونخوا کے جنوب میں ابھی بڑے ذخائر رکھتے ہیں. وہ ہاک, کرک اور ہنگو کے اضلاع میں مجھے اس نے بریفنگ دی. جو MOL جو آئل کمپنی ہے جو ایکسپلور کر رہی ہے, اس نے کہا کہ ہم عام طور پہ 10 کنویں جب کھودتے ہیں گیس کے لیے, اس پہ اگر 4 کامیاب ہوتے ہیں تو کہتے ہیں یہ اچھا علاقہ ہے. اس نے کہا کہ یہ خیبر پختونخوا کے جنوب میں ہم نے 18 کنویں کھودے, 14 اس میں کامیاب ہوئے. کتنی بڑے ذخائر گیس کے. تو انشاءاللہ ملک کا مستقبل محفوظ ہے. انشاءاللہ یہ ایک کرائسس سے ہم سے نکل آئیں گے, اور یہ کوئی نئی بات نہیں ہے, اسے گھبرانے کی ضرورت نہیں ہے. یعنی ہماری پارٹی سب سے زیادہ نشانہ ہے, اس میں آپ کو بتانا چاہتا ہوں. ہماری پارٹی کی 500 کیڈرز قتل کیے گئے, جس میں MPs بھی ہیں, جس میں لیڈرز بھی ہیں. لیکن ہم گھبرانے والے نہیں ہیں. ہم ہماری جغرافیہ دیکھ کے, ہماری تاریخ دیکھ کے ہم وہاں رہتے ہیں جہاں کئی ہزار سال سے انویڈرز آتے رہے. یہاں پر سکندر آیا ہے, چنگیز آیا ہے, بابر آیا ہے, تیمور آیا ہے, اورنگ آیا ہے, فرنگ آیا ہے, سب کو ہم نے دیکھا ہے. اور یہ صرف نام نہیں ہے. چنگیز خان کے بارے میں کہتے ہیں کہ وہ اپنے وقت کا ایٹم بم تھا, وہ جہاں جاتا ہے جیسے ایٹمی ہتھیار آ جاتے تھے. بابر کی کتابیں میں نے پڑھی, اس نے کہا کہ میں نے پشتونوں کے سروں کی مینار بنائے. تو ہمارے سروں کی مینار بنتے رہے, بٹ یہ صفائی انشاءاللہ اس سے بھی ہم سروائیو کریں گے. میں آپ کا ایک بار شکریہ, میرے لیے احساس ہے آپ لوگوں سے ملنا, میرے لیے بڑی خوشی کی بات ہے.
I'm very pleased that Lord Ahmad has gone, Lord Hussain has joined us. Lord Qurban Hussain is a new Lord from Luton, he's the Lord Hussain of Luton, and I'm very thankful because they were all busy and they had a very big schedule. He had an exhibition this morning on Kashmir, and you just missed the speech from Senator Afraz Sahab Khattak Sahab, who is from ANP, and I think I totally agree with you that we have to work together, build up consensus or bigger or smaller issue, provincial or national issues, and then move forward. I've got a great friend of mine. His father is a great man from Pakistan, Jung. He's nowadays chair of Iqbal chair in cabinet. He kindly has accepted my invitation and came here. He's a historian. Can I ask Dr. Tahir Kamran to come and say a few words? Sorry, I have not given you notice, but I have tried to build it that you understand that I'm not going to ask you. Once again.
Thank you, but it's quite embarrassing for me because Lashari Sahib has not given me any indication as to whether I come here and give a talk. I came here as an audience. So it would have been much better if I was treated in that manner, in that capacity. Anyhow, Australia is like having Afraz Sahab Khattak and the Rabbani Sahab in our midst. Both of them are really very, very respected politicians, and they have a great saga of struggle that they had launched against authoritarianism and autocracy in Pakistan, which had been unfortunately an abiding feature of Pakistani political history. But then I was just exchanging my views with a bit of sadness that why is it that Pakistan politicians travel overseas quite a lot, because it has a symbolic significance, it has other bearings also. Pakistan, which is encountering a lot of difficulties, leadership is needed in Pakistan instead of, every now and then one politician after the other, they're coming here and influencing more, why is it so? And then another question which I will request the Rabbani Sahib to address this question while giving his talk, that we wanted independence from Great Britain. We achieved it on 14th of August 1947. And we wanted to evolve an alternative system which would be our own, which would be in accord with the tradition of the subcontinent, traditions of Pakistan. So why is it that the devolution process or devolution plan which is being practiced in UK has any semblance of relevance with Pakistan, which has a different ethos, which has a different political history, which has a different culture, which has a different political perceptions? So when would that time be coming, when we will be learning to stand on our own feet? So these are some of the questions which I asked with a lot of sincerity, because I think the Rabbani Sahib is the most pertinent person to address these questions. Thank you.
Dr. Tahir Kamran sir, our procedure will be that after Raza Rabbani Sahib has spoken, I will open it to you, and the first speaker will be Amanullah Khan Sahib, founder and member of after Raza Rabbani Sahib has spoken, and then we will ask people to contribute and ask questions. But I didn't want to put you in that list. I'm sorry, I wanted to give you more weight because you are a historian and you have written quite a few books. So I just wanted to let people know that in the audience there are very important people sitting, but they are very humble and they don't want to be seen as leaders, although they are leaders. Can I invite my main speaker today, or keynote speaker of this evening? We have asked him to speak about 18th Amendment, and I think I also spoke to Arshid to tell him to speak about role of judiciary in a parliamentary system or in a democracy. So can I invite Mian Hazarabani, Senator and Inter-Provincial Coordinator, Government of Pakistan. Coordination, Minister.
Janab Lashari Saab, Lord Imran Saab, Khatib Saab, Hari Saab, Dr. Tahir Saab, ladies and gentlemen, at the very offset, let me take this opportunity of first of all thanking Lashari Saab and the All Parties Group for affording us this opportunity, Khatib Saab and myself, of being able to come and share thoughts with you and to learn from you in this experience. I would also, at the offset, like to say that the kind words which Lord Nazir and followed by my dear friend Lashari Saab, which they said for me, I wish that I could measure up to even half of that. But nonetheless, I think we started today with the silence for those who were killed on 7/7. I think it would also be appropriate, since this is an all Pakistani gathering, that on this moment we don't forget those thousands of men, women and children in Pakistan who have died in this war on terror. It is because of their sacrifices, it is because of their struggle, it is because of their heroic deeds that indeed the state of Pakistan today continues to subsist. And it is because of them that we as Pakistanis can hold our head high and proud of the fact that we have not faltered, that we have met our commitments and that we continue to meet our commitments. But if anyone expects us, particularly the Western capitals, if they expect from us that we will put as under our own national priorities, our own national strategic goals, and would become totally subservient to them, then they perhaps forget that we are a sovereign state. And being a sovereign state, we will only enter into any agreement on the basis of sovereign equality. Having said that, another mention was made of the 6th of July, and I think that perhaps the saga of Pakistan begins from military rule, from the derailment of the democratic process, from weakening of democratic institutions, from pitting one political party against the other, from breaking political parties. And this has been the unfortunate history of Pakistan. And it is a history which the civil military bureaucracy of Pakistan started to play right from the first Constituent Assembly. And I have no qualms in admitting that we as politicians, we as political parties, fell prey to that. And we danced and played to that tune. And not only us, but as a consequence, the nation had to suffer. As a consequence, Pakistan had to suffer. As a consequence, democracy had to suffer. But in those periods, there have been leaderships, and there have been leaderships across the board who have stood up to military dictators, whether it be in the shape of Shaheed Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, or it be in the shape of Shaheed Muhtarma Benazir Bhutto, or Mr. Wali Khan, and others who have treaded this path, who have offered sacrifices, but who have not compromised on principles. And I think it is because of them today that we see the 1973 Constitution. It was the unanimity, it was the consensus developed within Parliament and within the federation, and amongst the federation that stood the 73 Constitution apart. Military dictators came, but none of them had the moral authority or the courage to abrogate the 1973 Constitution. And therefore we saw new innuendos come up. Either the Constitution was held in abeyance or it was put aside. Because they understood and they knew from the bottom of their heart that it was not going to be possible to build such a national consensus again on a document like the Constitution. And that it would be tantamounting to opening a Pandora's box. But yes, during this entire process, and particularly during the period of General Zia, the Constitution was defaced. The Constitution was mutilated. The Constitution was circumvented. The federal and parliamentary character of the Constitution was changed. The discretionary powers of the President, for the first time in Pakistan's constitutional history, were introduced into the Constitution. And then when Musharraf came, Musharraf, in order to perpetuate himself, defaced and defamed the Constitution of 1973. And in fact, the Constitution of 1973, from a federal parliamentary constitution, which its original fathers had envisaged it to be, was converted into a quasi-presidential form of government. The federal character of the Constitution was put aside, and Pakistan became a cohesive federation, where Islamabad controlled not only the resources, where Islamabad controlled not only policy, but with the devolution plan that General Musharraf gave, he bypassed the provinces and the provincial governments and made the districts begin to look up to Islamabad. So in actual fact, the old dream of Pakistan's civil military bureaucracy of dividing Pakistan into even smaller federating units. At one time it was, let it be the divisions become new provinces. Then it said, no, let districts become new provinces. Not realizing that provinces cannot be born just because of administrative convenience. Provinces have to be born historically, they have to be born, they have to evolve historically. They require a people, they require a culture, they require a language. But these are considerations for which they wanted to break it up into small administrative units. But that apart, 73 Constitution. When Muhtarma Shaheed was here in London, and most of you, quite a few, number of you were present on those occasions, and the Charter of Democracy was signed, not too far away from here. Even in that it was given that the mode of appointment of judges and the concurrent list would be done away with. It is unfortunate. It is perhaps one of the darkest sagas of Pakistan's political history. Pakistan today would have been a different country, but perhaps that was not to be. Had Muhtarma Shaheed not been assassinated on that dark and cold night, Pakistan would have been today a different world. But alas, that was not to be. And when the Pakistan People's Party was called upon to form the government, in coalition with other political parties, we took over, and I will not go into the economic side of it. But if I was just to confine myself to the legal and constitutional side, then the polarization between the provinces and the polarization between the provinces and the federation was perhaps at its peak. क्योंकि छोटे सूबों को ये एहसास था कि उनके हुकूक उनको नहीं मिले। छोटे सूबे ये समझते थे कि उनको इस्लामाबाद के अंदर शिरकत या शराकत इक़्तिदार के अंदर वो शामिल नहीं। और खासतौर पे जब एक ऐसी लीडरशिप जिसने उस मुल्क को इकट्ठा रखा, जिसने वफाक की इकाइयों को इकट्ठा रखा, वो लीडरशिप एकदम खत्म हो गई, तो एक निहायत ही अजीब सी सूरत हाल मार्ज़ वजूद में है। और उसके बाद के हालात ने मुख्तलिफ सियासी जमातों के अंदर एक पोलराइजेशन को भी जन्म दिया। But when the committee was formed, and as Khattak Saab pointed out to you, it had a representation of all the political parties that were present in Parliament, regardless of the fact that even if they had a single seat in the National Assembly or the Senate, they were represented in that committee. Because we realized one thing from the word go, and that was that if a constitutional amendment is to be effective, if a constitutional amendment is to be viable, if a constitutional amendment is to be lasting, if a constitutional amendment is to be able to survive, then it is necessary that there be a cross-party consensus built on. Because anything short of it, in this atmosphere of distrust, would not be able to withstand. And I must say that all political parties across the board, all national political leadership across the board, rose to the occasion and showed maturity. And as a consequence of that, the 18th Amendment was possible. Had party lines not been crossed, had political leaders started to play games or score points, 18वीं तरमीम मार्ज़ वजूद में ना। और मैं यहाँ पे ये समझता हूँ that there is another very important aspect of the 18th Amendment, which is perhaps underplayed or not looked at all. Yes, the 18th Amendment restored the disbalance in powers between the President and Parliament. Yes, the 18th Amendment restored the true federal and parliamentary character of the Constitution. Yes, the 18th Amendment fulfilled the long-cherished dream of devolution. The political struggle of Pakistan's democratic forces. But there is yet another very important aspect of the 18th Amendment. And that important aspect is that the internal political situation prevailing in Pakistan. On the one side, you have the economy, which is not in too good a shape. On the other side, you have terrorism. On the third side, you have sectarianism. And on top of that, we were sitting on a political volcano where the federating units were not feeling a part and parcel of the federation. And secessionist forces within the country were taking root. So you can imagine that if the 18th Amendment in terms of devolution had it not come about, then today what we are talking about, the Arab summer, Pakistan was ripe for the Arab summer. And if Pakistan was ripe for the Arab summer, then it would have meant destabilization. Destabilization of the country, destabilization of the federation, and in what direction it would have gone, this is something which at least I shudder to think. But with the 18th Amendment, I think another very important message has gone through. And for this I salute my colleagues in Parliament from the nationalist parties of Balochistan. I think they deserve a great deal of credit. They took a bold decision, given the peculiar circumstances of that province. And the bold decision that they took was that they would follow the democratic route. They would follow the path of dialogue. They would follow the constitutional path. And they were able to achieve. They were able to achieve in terms of Article 173, 172, where the natural resources of oil and gas previously were 100% the ownership of the federal government. But as a consequence of their persuasion, as a consequence of their persuasion and realization, now it's 50% with the federal government and 50% with the government. So I think that sends across a very important message to those friends of ours who have taken up arms to achieve a political objective. That it is possible through the democratic process to sit down, negotiate, talk, and eventually come to a stage where you gain your rights. I think that is the third most important message. And I would like to use this opportunity to once again appeal to those friends of ours who have taken up arms for the achievement of their political objectives. That let us tread the path of dialogue. Let us tread the path of democracy. Let us tread the path of constitutionalism. And at the end, there is light. We've proved that in the 18th Amendment. And there was skepticism when we were working on it. It was said the 18th Amendment will never see the light of day. Oh, the politicians are tin soldiers, they'll fall apart. But I have dwelt on that question. Then came the question that implementation is not going to be feasible, implementation is not going to be possible. It's too gigantic a task. The government and the people, the politicians and parliament does not have the will to do it. They don't have the expertise to do it. And 1 year is too short a time, because that's what the 18th Amendment had mandated. 30th June 2011, the cut-off date, sundown clause. But I think it's hats off to this Parliament, who first passed the 18th and 19th Amendment with consensus, and then it became perhaps one of the second parliaments after the 73 Parliament to have implemented the constitutional amendment that it has passed. And as a consequence of the concurrent list going down, 17 federal ministries have been devolved to the provinces. 6 federal ministries which remain with the provinces, but certain functions of theirs remain with the centre, but certain functions of theirs which were falling within the ambit of the concurrent list have also been devolved down to the provinces, and this was done in the second phase. And I must give credit to Afras Yab Saab and other members of the Implementation Commission, because the amount of pressure that was on them, not from political parties, again let me make it abundantly clear, not from political parties, not from political leadership, not from the President, not from the Prime Minister, but from the vested interest groups which were being hit either in terms of losing administrative powers or being hit either in terms of losing financial powers. And financial powers are many. And it's not only a straight one-to-one. There are many other dubious circuitous routes through which a lot of people were getting benefit. But it was the political will and resolve of all the political parties which made this possible. Very quickly, because then I would like to, we would both like to interact with you. Very quickly, as far as the judiciary is concerned, Article 175A was introduced. As you are aware, it introduced a new concept of appointment of judges, in which a Supreme Judicial Council was constituted with the Chief Justice of Pakistan as its head, and a parliamentary committee was constituted with equal membership from the opposition and the government benches. You are also aware of the fact that it was challenged in the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court came up with a short order. It made certain observations and sent those observations back to Parliament. And I think Parliament, like the Supreme Court, because as you are aware, that on the question of appointment of judges, this was not a unique experience that Parliament and the judiciary were not on the same page. In India, in other places, there has been a long standoff on the question of appointment of judges and parliamentary oversight on the question. But I think the Supreme Court acted very maturely, very dignified, when in the short order they made certain observations and sent those observations down back to Parliament. And I think Parliament reciprocated in the same coin. Parliament also acted very maturely. And Parliament agreed to some of the suggestions. In fact, most of the suggestions that the Supreme Court had made, and as a consequence, the 19th Constitutional Amendment came into existence. But now I'm talking in the last, on the overall. The 18th Amendment is a paradigm shift. It's a paradigm shift in terms that initially it was that a strong Islamabad is the guarantee of a strong federation. Now the paradigm shift is that strong provinces are a guarantee to a strong and vibrant federation. The structural change in governance that has come about is perhaps the biggest structural change in Pakistan's governance that has come since after 1947, both at the federal level and at the provincial level. I don't say that there will be no problems. Yes, of course there will be problems. It's a new system. Whenever reform comes, reform brings with it certain issues. But the question arises, is the mechanism there? The mechanism is there. The mechanism is there in the Constitution. The mechanism will be thrown out as and when problems arise themselves. The other question is the political will there? The political will is there in the federal government, the political will is there in the provincial governments to see that it is implemented in full. जैसे मैंने कहा कि नया सिस्टम है, वक्त लगेगा, मुश्किलात आएंगी, हिकअप्स आएंगे, लेकिन उनको इंशाल्लाह मुझे पूरी उम्मीद है कि उनको पाकिस्तान के अवाम की ताकत से, पाकिस्तान के अवाम की दानिश से उनको हम कबूल कर लें। डॉक्टर साहब ने दो सवाल पूछे, उनका मैं जवाब देता चलूं। पहले डॉक्टर साहब ने जो बात की थी, that was with reference to why politicians make frequent trips abroad. Well, if I start with my own accountability, in 2 years, this is my first trip abroad. And I think also it is perhaps the same, that since we got involved with the since we got involved with the drafting of the 18th Amendment, then subsequently with the implementation of the 18th Amendment, it's all told a period of about 2 years, and I think this is the first time that we've come out after that. Other politicians, yes, some government functionaries and all have to come out. You know that better than I do, sir, that the state of government has to run, particularly in these days when the issues are internationalized, so therefore trips have to be taken to an extent. On the question of devolution vis-a-vis the British experience, this is ours was a follow-up visit prior to this, the CPA had sent a delegation to Pakistan. And when they came there, they had a meeting with myself and with other members of the Implementation Commission and with other members of Parliament. And they were rather interested in the process of devolution that we had undertaken. This was immediately after the 18th Amendment had been passed. The Commission had come Implementation Commission had come into existence, but as yet the first phase had not been completed. And so that, A, it's a follow-up visit. B, we have already completed our devolution before we came to the UK. Our devolution was completed as you are aware, on the 30th of June 2011. Notifications, everything had been issued. So that process had been completed by then. So we've really not come to learn from their experience. And I think from what we have seen or been hearing for the last so many days, perhaps ours is a more structured devolution which has taken place. Ours is a more far-reaching devolution that has taken place than that one finds here in the United Kingdom. We have given to them our point of view, our experience as well, and they have decided that they would perhaps for the first time be sending a delegation of the parliamentarians from Westminster and from their devolved provinces, from their devolved regions to Pakistan to come and study our system. So it's a mutual this thing. We have not come to learn from them because I think in evolution at least we are ahead. I am once again grateful to all of you.